day, everybody. So, how's it going, Aziz?
Doing very well. How about you?
I'm doing good as well. So, any questions you would like to ask me right now?
Well, it's Friday. We're almost done with work.
Yes.
I'm thinking go out, eat some food, watch a movie late night, stay up. What do you think?
Great activities, but I have to say no.
Okay, then, what about ordering a pizza and watching a movie at home?
This is also a good activity, but unfortunately, for some reasons, I will have to reject this one as well.
What do you say then you and I hop in some PlayStation and play a couple games of Call of Duty online?
Oh, this is very tempting as well, but unfortunately, due to the circumstances, I will have to say no to that too. So, as you have seen, in many cases we say no. And in this episode, we're trying to delve deeper into this situation when it's kind of important to think about should I say yes or should I say no? Alright, so there has been quite a bit of rejection, but now let's get to the acceptance of saying no. So, what can we share with our viewers about the power of saying no?
See, so I really like how you mentioned the power of no. So like we're gonna refer to this as the power of saying no or the power of no, however you wanna phrase it, right?
It's not all
But
negative. Yeah,
exactly, yeah. Saying no, people can see it as a negative thing, but in fact, I see it as in many cases as the opposite,
yes,
right? Like take it from a point of view of prioritizing yourself. Like here I was in this scenario just now
absolutely.
asking you a bunch of things to be like, let's go watch a movie, let's
Yeah,
go watch some TV, let's order food, all these things. And the only responses I got from you were no, no, and no. Are you
yes,
telling me that you're a negative person? Absolutely not. What I was getting from that is you put yourself in this situation where you want to prioritize yourself,
exactly.
where you have a high level of self-respect for yourself and you put yourself on high standards that you would not divvy or shimmy left and right, as like we say,
Yeah,
or I guess like allow yourself to go off track for too long. And that can only happen by saying no. Like, and I'm sure you've denied all these, like movies, food, whatever, because you set yourself on a schedule, you set yourself on priorities that you want to achieve tonight.
exactly.
Is that correct?
Yeah, yeah. There are many situations, many propositions that go our way all the time, but also I should think about the cases when oftentimes you just say yes because it kind of like aligns with your plan, and this is completely good, and I would even say healthy, right? Because, for example, not all the time we reject all the possible social activities, right, with the people. So some social activities are completely good, and then, as a matter of fact, socializing with others and then doing some sort of activity together is very healthy for your like mental health, for example. So in those cases, yeah, you will say yes. But just like extremes are generally kind of like can be bad for us, what I figured is that if I say yes to all the propositions that go my way, then I will be in trouble, generally speaking, right? And that's what I figured, for example, based on my like previous experience, that kind of like allowed me to hack this kind of feature of saying no. That was, for example, going to, let's say, various, I don't know, gatherings of people, let's put it that way, right? So, and then, yeah, back, let's say, in graduate school, I was just not able to say no to those. And then I realized that actually by saying yes, I was giving myself way too much like negative situations, right? Way too many negative situations because if let's say or once I was going to those social activities, I was let's say not prioritizing my sleep, right? I was spending way too much money on those activities and then the kind of like things that were involved in them. and that made me, for example, fall behind in my studies, just to name a few kind of like drawbacks of saying yes too much.
So, and I really like that because, when you say no, you're limiting yourself from spreading yourself way too thin or from putting too much on your plate.
Yes,
Right? Like
exactly.
we all have the things we want to do. We all have our priorities, whether it's in our working life, whether personal life, whether and really like anything you choose to pursue.
Yeah,
And so you always want to make sure that you are on track, that you're on the right path, that also you're not setting yourself up for being burnt out, or you're not setting yourself up from eventually doing too much or
yes,
having to do too much of one thing and then compromising on another thing. So from these values, or like from the value of saying no, really means you have to know your limits. You have to know the value of working smart, working hard, and
yes,
saying no kind of like places a boundary between the respect you have for yourself and what you want to achieve for yourself against
yes,
how much like I guess to what extent you're willing to go.
yeah.
Example, like
Mm-hmm.
like you have like priorities of getting work done or getting schoolwork done and then training and then wanting to get the right amount of sleep and all.
Yeah,
Like in my instance, during the week, there are many times where I'd have to say no to certain social events, to certain like social gatherings. Why? Because I'd want to prioritize sleeping. I'd want to prioritize making food at home. So saving money, saving all
yeah,
these things.
yeah, absolutely. Yeah, that is a very good point. So yeah, by actually saying no, you will eventually see that you will be getting the positives, right, instead of actually negatives, which kind of our brain tends to think, oh yeah, I say no to something, and then I will have this kind of like fear of missing out, right, FOMO, as they say. So yeah, that's kind of like a very common situation because yeah, it's natural to get as many experiences as possible under our belt, right? To like enjoy some sort of, let's say, yeah, time like at the university, right? As much as possible, right? Especially, let's say, maybe you're in a foreign country or something like that. So yeah, that's kind of like entirely possible. But yeah, if we think about that, if we kind of like weigh pros and cons of like saying yes to everything, then yeah, so kind of like the just a little bit deeper analysis will make us think, huh, maybe I should be rejecting uh, some of those propositions, at least some of them, right? Not everything, but yeah, a good deal of them will eventually have to go south, so to speak. So yeah, and I would also add sometimes for me, for example, what I noticed it was difficult to say no, right? Because for example, let's say I live with some people in the house together, right? So we're all like neighbors and housemates, things like that. And then let's say they want to go somewhere and then participate in some sort of social activity that involves spending money, involves staying up late, and the kind of basically does not align, let's say, with the athletic schedule of mine. So that's when I had to say no. And then, yeah, it could be difficult because you say no a lot of times to your friends, essentially. So, yeah, that would be basically kind of like the most difficult part that I encountered in saying no. Any difficulties that you have encountered while when saying no, and how do we deal with them?
I would say, and I'm gonna end my statement with a question for you, but I would say in many of the
Yeah,
times when I was put in situations whether, I would say yes or no,
yeah,
I would feel I would feel before that I would kind of feel pressured to say yes,
yeah, okay.
but but then again, saying no, as in many of the things we talk about in these recordings, saying no becomes a skill, right?
Huh, great
And such a
point.
and such a skill is something we have to build on, and the only way to build on such a skill is to keep doing it, right? So I've gone from
Yeah,
positions, and this relates to many things. This like relates to work life and social life, like when someone comes up and wants my time, wants my efforts, wants my energy, like basically like they want something from me. And then obviously like when I'm in a position where I have the bandwidth, I have the energy to, offer them my time or anything that they need from me, You
Yeah.
can say yes, depending on what kind of task is asked of you, or like what is being not demanded of you, but what is wanted from you at that moment, right?
Yes.
You can say yes,
Exactly.
but then, and many times, and I'm sure like a lot of you guys have this, even you, Oleg, right?
Yeah.
When you're put in a situation where someone wants something from you, and you would have to say no because it comes down to what you prioritize for yourself,
Yes.
you would come down to, I guess, like for lack of a better word, like you would feel bad, but you have to say no. Yet you feel bad, you feel guilty for not saying yes.
Yeah.
To maybe like, let's say a friend comes up, be like, oh, let's all go out, let's go have fun, whatnot. We all didn't do something together, fun in a very long time and all. Like,
Indeed.
see that would pressure be like, oh, I didn't do something fun in a while, didn't hang out with my friends in a while. Maybe
Yeah.
it's time I do that. That's you succumbing to the pressure. Yet building on the skill of saying no, you kind of have to, for not being able to phrase it in a different way, you have to not really give a shit
Yeah.
as to what other people are really going to think of you for saying no. But if you want to set yourself to high standards, if you want to prioritize yourself, if you claim to have the self-respect you do for yourself, you would say no, and you would not allow
Exactly.
yourself to give into feeling pressured or even like feeling guilty for not saying yes to, I guess, your friends or people asking things of you, right?
Exactly. Yeah.
But my question for you, so when someone comes up to you, like let's say me in the beginning of this recording,
Yeah.
I come up and I'm like, let's go do something. You would say no. Obviously, me hopefully being a good friend of yours,
Yeah.
I would say, what measures do you take so that you can, I guess, not give in to the pressure of saying yes? So, like, what would you do to say no and not feel bad about saying no and just quickly,
Hmm.
like, just move on and get it done,
Yeah.
really?
Okay, well, that's a great question. So that brings them back to the experience when I kind of like put this notion in my head. That actually happened relatively recently. That did happen at the very end of December, as a matter of fact, right before the New Year's Eve. So that's when I kind of like was put in a situation when there was pressure, right? So people were saying, "Oh yeah, let's go on and do this particular like social activity, right?" So, but then I realized, well, I have bigger things to be done, right? And then they have to be done. So, and then I kind of like weighed all the pros and cons, and then the scale was definitely on the no side, right? So, and yeah, I kind of like thought about the bigger picture. I thought about actually, I would circle back to this point of prioritization, right? And I said to myself, okay, well, if I do what I was planning to do, right, then this will propel, let's say, my career and the project development for the YouTube channel, for example, right? So that was much better than going to the social activity, right? And then social activities are plentiful anyway, kind of in our environment. So I would definitely not miss out on something like that happens once in a lifetime. So and then I just kind of like said no. It was like very clear for me, very logical decision to make. And then yeah, I was like yeah, very comfortably made a rejection to that person, and I did not succumb to like their kind of like persuasion to do that, right? So since I kind of like rarely said no before in the past, it was of course uncomfortable, right? So oh yeah, like first time, like very straightforward rejection. So, but it wasn't uncomfortable for the first time, actually, I would say. This sort of like action, right? And then, as you were saying, so it became a skill, and then yeah, so there was a number of social activities. Of course, I did not reject all of them, right? So, but some of them had to be rejected. So, because of the priorities that I set to myself, and then those rejections were completely fine, completely justified. And then, yeah, I was not just kind of rejecting people because I felt that way, right? Oh, yeah, I want to exercise this skill and then reject somebody, right? I'm so kind of like evil and mean. No, not because of that. So it was just kind of like because of the priorities that I set to myself, and then they were clearly, in my case, more important than saying kind of like yes to the social engagement and failing to deliver on the priorities. So yeah, that's what happened, and yeah, and then also kind of like yeah, you become more comfortable the more you like do that. So yeah, that was fine, and then yes, you become more comfortable, kind of. Resisting that social pressure, right? And people say, yeah, no, let's go. And then eventually what I notice is that people will be pressurizing you less because they will understand, okay, well, if that person says no, I had better value that with respect. And yeah, so they kind of like take it very nicely from then on. So it's a two-way street, I would say.
I like that. And obviously, like with the power of no and the power of saying no, really becomes a situational thing, right? So we're
Yes.
not saying we're not saying say no to everything and everyone just so you can practice the ability to say no and
Extremes are
not
bad.
have this feeling of guilt or not feeling pressured. But
Yes.
there are situations where it's appropriate to say no, but there are situations where if you say no, then you're just showing people that you're a bad person, right? So here's
Yeah.
an example. The other day I was at the grocery store and I was walking on one of the aisles,
Oh.
and there was something on the top shelf. Next to me there was an old lady. She couldn't reach what was on the top shelf. So as I'm walking by, she was like, "Excuse me, can you just get that thing up for me?" I'm not gonna say no. No, you can do it yourself, or no, get somebody else. I was
Yeah.
like, I'm capable of doing it.
Exactly.
It's gonna take barely any time, barely energy from me to help someone out. So of course
Yeah,
I'll do
that's
it,
true.
right?
Yeah.
Then put yourself in a situation like, let's say if you're in an airport or a train station, a stranger comes up to you with like a suitcase. They're like, "Hey, I'm gonna go to the bathroom for a second. Can I leave my suitcase here and you watch it for a bit?"
Yeah.
That's when you say no, right?
Exactly.
Because number one,
Good
like,
example.
you shouldn't feel bad for saying no to that stranger for giving you that responsibility. But then also, this comes down to a situation where, God forbid, like something bad can happen, and then it can be traced back to you because you were
Absolutely.
last seen with a certain object. So you have to know when to say no. You have to know when it's okay to
Yeah.
give your time, give your energy, and give your efforts to someone to help them out. And at the end of the day, I think really, like, above all, like, have some respect for yourself. Know that you are your biggest priority at the end of the day. So if
Yeah.
saying no means bringing you peace, then by all means do it. And
Exactly.
feeling like we should never feel pressured to say yes to something,
Yes.
right? At the end of the day, like, we say yes or no simply because, like, we allow this for ourselves. Like, if you allow this for yourself, say yes, go have a good time, anything, whatever you want to do. If you have other priorities and you don't want to go and succumb to so-called pressure,
Yes.
say no. Take some
Exactly.
time off, and yeah, saying no does have incredible powers. Really, at the end of the day, like, it puts you in a position where you put yourself first. And I think one of the main takeaways from, like, our channel in general, right? It comes down to hacking life, being a life hacker, and one of the main skills we can all build on is self-respect and prioritizing yourself.
Exactly.
Really, and the power of saying no is one of the many skills which we want to show our viewers and show everyone. And also, like, we also learn it ourselves, right? Because, like, we're like learning with everyone, such as the way of life. Forever a student, never a master.
Very true. Okay, well, I think that's been a good ending to this, and we have delivered a good amount of information based on our kind of like life experiments and life hacking. So yeah, we would like to thank you for your attention, and please enjoy the channel, enjoy the content of it, and then leave a comment, leave a like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell so that we can continue delivering more and better content to everyone to improve the world around here in general. So keep hacking life and stay good.